Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. Of course, it's Monday, which means it's time to speak about some of the beautiful art on set. And in our spotlight today, we have the European Union Photo and Art Competition 2024. The exhibit is going to be taking place at the Art Society of Trinidad and Tobago. And joining us to share more is His Excellency Peter Cavendish, Ambassador of the EU delegation to Trinidad and Tobago, and freelance photographer Nyla Singh. Good morning, Ambassador, and good morning, Nyla. Welcome.
Thank you for having us on the show.
It's a pleasure to have both of you on the show this morning. Thank you for getting up what I assume is a little bit earlier than usual.
It happens. You have to do it. Part of the job.
Yes, definitely part of the job, something we can all agree to. So let's get straight into this competition, Ambassador. Yes. Can you give us a brief history about it?
Well, the competition goes back to 2018. The European Union would like to put cultural exchange at the heart of its diplomatic relations because, of course, you want to have a deeper knowledge of the partner nations that you're interacting with. And culture gets you straight to the soul of a nation. And here we find we have TTT, which is Totally Talented Trinis, or Total Talent Trini. And we have some fantastic people who have come forward in a competition. We had a great many people who applied, and I'll let you in on a secret. All of the 4 winners are women, and how about that? So we end up with the competition covering the country. Several categories: I am woman, I innovate, cultural diversity, inclusion, nurture nature, and we end up, the 4 winners are all women of different ages, which I think says something about, men often say women see things men don't see. And I think in this time now, we have actually substantive examples of things women have seen the men haven't. But I will encourage the men to try harder next year, chaps, please. We can't have 100% wiping the floor of us guys. I mean, come on, So we have here also Nyla, who I think maybe Nyla would like to talk about her work, which is just absolutely fantastic. A timeless piece. I congratulate you on what you've done. It's memorable. I'd like to buy it myself, but I think the rules prevent me from buying the art.
Nyla, good morning again. Welcome back to the show. So before we get into your piece, which we can see definitely has caught the attention of the ambassador, and I'm sure many people who are going to be watching as well, tell us a little bit about why you chose photography.
Well, I've been doing photography since 2010 as a professional photographer. I just love the fact that I can capture a moment in time that can never be repeated.
Yes.
And I am generally self-taught, except for a couple local courses that I did. But it just offers me that peace and being able to, like I said, capture that moment that can never be repeated.
Well, let's talk about that moment of this piece that, again, is quite popular. What's the name of your piece?
So the name of the piece is Amor Fati. It's a Latin word for love of faith. So basically anything, despite life circumstances, you, whether good, it is necessary. And in this case, despite the circumstances of this girl and her brother, they live in abject poverty, as you can see. They had to use a flambeau for a light source, as well as they lived in a dirt house. She still was determined to tutor her brother and get out. I guess it offered to me some level of hope, that she wanted to get out of that situation. And despite, the development in Trinidad, we still have these sorts of instances where this is still a reality for many people, So it was important for me to highlight that.
Definitely is important to highlight that, and something that you just said is so true. We see so much development in Trinidad and Tobago, but we do have people who continue to live like this. So hats off to you for bringing it out to the forefront, and of course hats off to you and your entire team for ensuring this competition is able to provide a platform for this awareness to be raised. Now let's go back a little bit to the competition and the theme. What exactly is the theme, and why was it chosen for this year?
Well, we have, in fact, have 4 areas that theme. We have nurture nature, because there's a lot of concern about the environment. This always, there's a lot of young people want to speak up on the environment. We have I innovate, which is about, the way in which our society is changing. We have I am woman. We're very concerned, obviously, about women and women's rights. Domestic violence, sadly, is the world's most widespread and common human rights abuse. And so across these categories, we have got the, young people are motivated on issues which are really very close to their hearts. And as a result of that, we have the talent that we have seen come forward. I mean, you have to go and see these. And by the way, to go and see them, you need to go to the Art Society in Federation Park, and they're on display from the 23rd to the 27th of September, and it's from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock. But, you know, the 3D scope of the nature one here behind me, you can't capture this until you actually go and see it. Even on TV screen, it looks very nice, but it actually has depth. There's a 3D quality to it. And similarly with the others, they speak with an honesty, they speak with the passion, they speak with the genuineness, and that's why I'm saying they're totally Trini. Trini is a very expressive people, very gregarious, very communicative, but they have depth. You couldn't have your culture if you didn't have depth, and that's what we see in the works we have on display here.
Agreed, definitely. And as you referenced, this first piece that we have on set, I'm classic for, I shouldn't touch them, but I'll just go and sort of just, you know, just slightly see. And it's incredible, the depth in this, and it really evokes being there in Tobago plantations as well. Now, you speak of Trimbagonians, of course, and the depth that we have as a people and how we communicate it into art. But let's speak about this competition and the value that it adds to the world and for artists. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, culture is such an enriching thing for all of us. There's the whole, from the commercial side of it, where people go and see shows, but the way in which it satisfies our human needs to self-actualize, to present ourselves, to be somebody, to speak from our soul to other people. Life would be very boring and drab without culture, and this country is blessed with culture. It's blessed in all the arts, and here we have an example of the visual arts where the country again is shining.
Yes, definitely the country is shining. Nyla, let's bring you back into the conversation. What value would you say entering this competition brought to your life and brings to other artists as well?
Well, it gives us a forum to be able to express our artistic eye. And I think I noticed at the competition they had the AI category as well, which allowed, you know, the new and upcoming way of our lives, you know, to represent that into the competition was very progressive, I think, of the European Union. And yeah.
It definitely is. Now let's go back to your photo. Was there any, I mean, I know that you have a lot of work behind you, but is there any particular reason that you knew this was your piece?
Yeah, so a friend and I sent him the details of the competition, and he said, well, you have pieces for each category, right? Yes. So we actually sat down and we selected multiple pieces for the competition and each category. And then, of course, you know, honestly, we didn't really fine print. That said that we could only submit one piece, otherwise you'd be disqualified. So after we prepared all the wording for each photograph we selected, and I was like, oh, shucks, a few days after. And I went through all of them. We selected 20-something plus photos. And I don't know why this one in particular just really pulled at my heartstrings. And I said, this has to be the photo because it speaks volumes as to a reality that we still live. And despite the progress, despite the development, you still have this sort of situation that is, you know, very much present.
Agreed. Ambassador Cavendish, we touched on the themes for the competition, and we've been able to speak about the first painting, which sits right behind us, and Nyla's piece as well. Can you give us some background on the other two pieces we have on set?
Very definitely, of course. We have with the it's this way. Yeah. With the eye photograph, we have something which I find quite remarkable. This, in fact, the young lady took a photograph. It's her father's eye, yes, and a daughter's looking at the father. And I think that, you know, this is more than just a simple snap. You can see the father's eye, the reflections, it's soul to soul. So here again you have an example of how something quite ordinary, a child taking a photograph of the father, but has an extra step in it. So with the photograph there, I think that you have a, you know, these are classics. Right. I think that these photographs and the art are classics. And again, you know, I have to wonder why it's the women coming forward with four winning Trini women. So the photograph, again, I think, you know, you can see the depth that's in it. You can see the way in which the daughter has taken a psychological step back, but at the same time, it's a photograph of the father and his eye.
Now, the one that sits behind you as well, this would have been from the theme I Am Woman, correct?
Yes, correct.
With, well, 4 career paths, yes, for ladies. And
this is a 12-year-old child who's produced this one. So, I mean, I find that a 12-year-old to make a composition of this clearly a young woman is thinking ahead and thinking of the future.
Yeah.
12 years of age, and she's, already, if you wish, politicized
Yes.
on gender issues, saying women are significant in society, showing strong role model women. And it can only be good for the future that we have young women of 12 years of age able to articulate a political argument on the role of women in society as winners.
Agreed, definitely. Now, speaking about the future, even though, of course, it is here now, AI is something that Nyla would have mentioned as part of the competition. How was it incorporated, and what did you see as a result of it?
Well, they call it artificial intelligence. It's advanced data gathering. I don't think we're actually yet at the stage you can say it's artificial intelligence. It's advanced data gathering. I think it can only help us to get to where we want to be quicker. It's not going to replace us, certainly in the short term. But those artists who want to be inspired, who want to have, maybe we will have, in the future, we will have art that speaks to us, that actually speaks with a voice. So we are on a path, and artificial intelligence is going to change our society. But I can remember the paperless office. We were all promised the paperless office back in the 1980s. People are not going to be replaced by artificial intelligence. But certainly artists who may have something lacking in their palette of skills can bring that in with artificial intelligence. At the end of the day, artists are trying to communicate a vision to us. And if they can use that artificial intelligence to concretize, to formalize that vision, then it is a good thing.
Yes, it definitely is. I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you so much for that, Ambassador. Now, Ambassador, also, we have to touch on the age groups, because you said this would have been done by a child. And we also have, of course, adults in the mix, and Jada as well, who is also, well, I think maybe now a teenager.
Yes.
So what age groups were able to enter this competition?
Well, we weren't discriminating anybody from any across the age groups, but we did make bands of age groups to, I think from the point of view really was to have fairness and equity. Obviously, 12-year-old would have a different perspective from somebody who's in the middle age. So the groupings were basically for children and adults. That was the main thing. But of course, we had, within the groupings, we had the panel of judges as well. I want to give a shout out to Anthony Scully of the Photographers Society of Trinidad and Tobago. He and his team and the other judges were very painstaking. We looked at 30. At the end, we whittled everything down to 30, and then from the last 30, we got to the last final 4. So there was a lot of work behind what you finally see behind you. And there's other pieces on display at the Federation Park, the Art Society in Federation Park.
Excellent. This is going to be happening from the 23rd to the 27th of September at the Art Society in Federation Park from 12 noon to 6 p.m. So you do have enough time to go and check it out as well. Before we close our conversation this morning, Nyla, let's start with you. Any comments for Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, art is the future of expression, and we have so many rich cultural things happening in Trinidad and Tobago, and I'm happy that I can share a little bit of my eye print on that and display it to the world in my small little way.
Excellent. And Ambassador, any comments for the upcoming exhibition and anything in general?
Well, this country invented soca, and
yes.
It's all, this country here, visually, we have another type of soul. You have soul and calypso soca, and you have another type of soul. And when I talked about Nyla's photograph, I thought immediately about the house of Mr. Bisfaz and the mention of flambeau in your culture, and the way in which, that somehow from the time of Mr. Bisfaz to now, there are sort of immortals, if you wish, in scenes in this society. This photograph could have been on the cover of the house of Mr. Bisfaz, or in a page or a plate inside that book. I mean, the talent is out there, and the talent is living here in this country. It's a living thing. And I hope that we will continue to see more and more of Trinbagonian culture coming through.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Nyla, and thank you so much, Ambassador, for joining us this morning. Looking forward to seeing all the work on display at the Art Society of Trinidad and Tobago. You don't want to miss it, happening from the 23rd to the 27th of September. Stay tuned. There's more coming up on the Now Morning Show after this break.